I needed to see the recording. But hopefully we can just share the freebie to those who will last until the end, right? So I mean that's really important. So to officially welcome, of course, Michael here. Again, Michael is the founder of CRM Pros and is also the author of a lot of books that I've known, like best-selling books. But one of the ones that I know is starting an AI agency. He's known as one of our high level legends. If you don't know him, he's been invited to a lot of high level live events, including the ones that are upcoming in India. He is also an architect and the automation system powering some of America's fastest growing AI companies as we speak. That's the reason why I'm saying I am super, super excited for this call because we don't get Michael every day. He's normally paid. So Michael specialized in AI in turning complex business processes into seamless revenue generating machines. And if you are taking the high level certification, I'm sure that you've seen him because he is the one also hosting, not hosting, but he created the actual AI masterclass inside of the high level certification with Fur. So thank you again so much, Michael, for being here with us tonight. And I'm super excited for everyone to meet you. So hello, Michael. Let's do this.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I much appreciate it. I see a lot of familiar, well, I see a few familiar faces. I can't see 180, but I see a few that I know. So, listen, hey, I like to keep things pretty informal. And if somebody can monitor the chat and CC whenever you want to interrupt me,
Yeah.
please feel free to do so. And we'll try to answer questions as we go. If it's something that I haven't covered, I may pause it and then and cover it then. But if not, I'll definitely get everybody at the end. I don't have any problem. I'm pretty much an open book, so whatever I have is pretty much up for grabs. I like to share everything that I have because I don't know. I was in the same situation when I started. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I think it's just helpful. I don't really feel anyone here on this call is a competitor. I feel we're all partners, and so whatever I have is pretty much an open book, and that's just how I operate, and it always works out. So what I'd like to do, first of all, is CC asked me to go through and give you guys a deep dive into the high level voice system. So my goal is when we're done with this session today, I'm not sure how long it's going to last. I really don't I really don't have a
I'm
time
okay
limit.
if
You
you
know, I,
over time, Michael.
okay. So I'll go as long as you guys want. Feel free to stay. If you have to go, I fully understand. Now, what my goal is for this session is that you guys are very comfortable, and I'm going to show you shortcuts on developing and delivering these AI agents in high level specifically. I've used all the platforms. I've used, Retail, I've used Vappy, I've used Synflow, I've used them all for various use cases, and I'll talk about why. But my go-to is high level, and the reason for that, I'm not like a high level salesperson. I really do like the platform. I really enjoy using it. It's a moving target. CC will tell you that it changes every single day, probably eight to
I
ten times a
know.
day. If you see their change log, it's crazy. So with that said, that's to me is a positive thing, meaning that they're making changes. They're usually making moves to make things better. So that is a good thing. If they didn't do that and they said, "Oh, once a year we're going to release changes," everyone would be agitated with that. So I'm happy that they are constantly pushing changes out, and it also keeps people like myself and CC on our toes because it's constantly changing. One of my roles with what I do is I work with the development team very closely on the AI side. So I am generally testing things that are not out yet, and usually will be out in the next like 3 to 4 months. So like Agent Studio, I've been working in Agent Studio before Level Up when it was released for 4 months prior to that.
That's what
I'm
I
going to be
heard.
doing a session on that as well. Yeah, I'm going to be
Oh
doing a
wow.
session on that as well. So that'll be good. But let's dive into the meat and potatoes here, which is the voice system. Everyone loves it. It's a money saver for businesses. I will also talk about how you sell it because a lot of people
Oh
can build it, but then
wow.
they can't sell it. I could tell you how to sell it. Um, so I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
One
And
second.
guys,
Let me just.
this is the reason why we're doing this. Just like what Michael has mentioned, things in high level are changing almost daily, and that's the reason why we always want to do workshops like this so we can keep you guys updated, not just you guys, but also ourselves because if we don't teach it, we don't show it to other people, then we're not really up to date in what's happening with high level. So you don't have to worry. We're not here to sell anything to you at the end of whatever. We're just here to really share all these knowledge with you guys genuinely, and I'm so happy to hear that Michael will be sharing with us later on how you can also sell this. I mean, he's going to teach you how to do this, but at the end of the day, he's also going to share with you later on how you can literally sell this. And while Michael is preparing this, and I think he's prepared, you might want to just drop the city where you guys are located because I just want to see like who, I mean, just do a little or do me a favor, just literally comment down below in the chat where you guys are from. Look at that, Michael. We now have over 220 people on the call.
Nice.
And wow, yeah, we're seeing a lot of from Vietnam. I'm seeing someone from Vietnam and Cebu. There's Taytay, Zamboanga, Rizal, Caloocan, United Kingdom. Oh wow, and Manila, Japan, City of Pines, Laguna, DC, Davao City. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people. There's Netherlands. Wow. Morocco. Oh
Wow.
wow. If this is real, then we're literally discussing this all over the world, Michael, because I'm seeing people
I love
also
it.
from
I love it.
yeah, Germany. Yeah, so Bahrain. Oh wow. Tanay, Pateros, Quezon City, Digo City. Wow, we're all over the world right now, Michael. So really want to thank
Nice.
you. You're not just influencing Filipinos right now, but also people from other countries as well. So let's go.
Perfect. So I know probably we have a lot of varying experiences here, probably in the chat and in the on the session here, and that's fine. I'm going to start out with the basics, and we'll get more advanced as we go. The other thing is, I realize that some people on the call are probably builders. They want to build it, and they don't want to sell it ever. And I got that. And we probably have some people on the call that they don't want to build it; they just want to sell it, and I get that too. And then I also know that we have people on the call that may want to try to do both, and that's even better. Lastly, like if you're a VA or whatever, this is a great session for you. I mean, actually, this is the perfect session for you. You're going to have such an advantage after this hour plus session that you're going to be able to write your own ticket. I assure you. Welcome, and let's just jump into this. First of all, I'm sharing my screen and I'm going to show you how to deploy these agents. And I'm going to show you where there's problems. I'm going to show you how to do it fast. And I'm going to show you how to save some time and also, more importantly, have a quality output when you're done. So I'm in my voice agent setup. I have around 350 voice agents in here. I have unlimited agents, but right now you're allowed to have 40 agents in your account. So I'm going to go ahead and create the agent. And we have two choices here. This is very, very important. You have a marketplace and you can create an agent from scratch. So you could go custom agent. But for the purpose of this session right now, I want to show you the marketplace because it's huge. I'm not selling anything on the marketplace. In fact, I have 250 voice agents on the marketplace that you could download for absolutely free. My point of this is this is a huge time saver for you. So I have 250 different niches in here that I personally built and put them there. They were going to be for sale, and I said, no, I'm going to give them away. So you could utilize that. So let's just do one of those. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, why would I say do that? Because when you, in 2 seconds, when you click this button, it's going to install in your HighLevel account. And from there, all you have to do is modify it to your needs. Now, before we get into that, let's just talk about niches for a second because I even had an email and a phone call yesterday on this. One of the things that goes against the grain with high level users is a lot of people say, hey, you have to niche down. And that is in fact true partially. For what I'm going to show you, it's a blue ocean. You don't have to niche down what I'm going to show you. You could build a voice agent for a plumbing company today, a roofer tomorrow, a med spa the next day, and it'll take you the same time and effort, and you'll have the same output at the end. So if you're going to be building systems, like you're going to be building out a business and you're going to be building snapshots and you're going to be building funnel and all of that, Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe you should be niching down because there's a lot of effort into that. But for if you're going to be delivering voice agents, you could deliver these to anyone. Now, I want to briefly talk about sales, and I'm not going to. It's going to be pretty hands-on here in a second, but I just wanted to briefly talk about sales. It's very difficult for you guys to sell a voice agent on its own. And why is that? Well, it's a few things. One is psychological. People that are business owners, small and large, they don't want to give up their phone number. That's their main lifeline. That's where they're getting paid. So it's very difficult to do that. I was developing voice agents. I built around 2,500 so far. And essentially, I couldn't sell them at first. Now, what I do, and I know there's people on the call that utilize what I've done. And I sell this as a system. I sell it as a voice agent. I sell it as a reputation management workflow. I sell it, database reactivation workflow. So we do database reactivation. Why? It's low hanging fruit. There's leads there and they're easy to recover. So you're going to be instant superstar with your client. So database reactivation, number one. Number two is reputation management. Get them reviews. Reviews equals views on their site. And those are easy to do. 15 minutes in high level and you're done. Now, when I talk about reviews, I talk about proactively getting them, also making sure they're answered, even retroactively answering them, because you can do that in high level now. You can go back to ones that your client didn't respond to. And then lastly, what about putting them on their website as a widget? And what about posting them to social when they get a 5-star review? That's all positive things that's going to increase revenue. A 1-star review increase on a Google profile equals around 15 to 20,000, depending on the niche, as far as monthly visitors to their website. That's huge. So that's that. And then we do the voice agent, of course. The voice agents are powerful, but keep in mind, you're going to be competing against voice agents that they sell on your feed on Facebook each and every day. Maybe they're in the App Store at $29 a month. This isn't that. These things are very powerful. They could book appointments. They could pull in live data. So like I've done voice agents for people in Australia where they're selling water treatment systems for homes. And they put in a zip code and it gave them the exact amount of chemical that was in the spigot at the person's home while they're on the call. So, and then they followed up with saying, hey, we could filter this out. So there's a lot of powerful tools in these agents. It's not simply an answering machine, and it's not really. It's way beyond even a call center answer person. So let's go ahead and get started. And then, I didn't even mention the last one is conversational AI, which is huge because conversational AI is actually your biggest converter. So when I say conversational AI, everyone automatically thinks web chat. Well, that's one piece of it. But what about when everyone here is on social? I'm sure. Put a one in the chat if you're on social day in and day out, at least once a day. I guarantee there's going to be ones flying all over the place. But businesses are quick to post, but they're very slow to respond to comments and DMs. So we put the conversational AI, which can book to the calendar as well. Those are leads. So we go with conversational AI on all the platforms, and they could book to the calendar, and those are extra leads for the client. So, and we're going to talk about pricing later. Like, how do you price all of this? Because that's another question I get. Well, how do you price this? We'll talk about that later for sure. So here's the marketplace. Jumping back in. So I'm going to go there first, and then they're going to come up with a user interface that looks like this. If you look at mine, I have ones that say my name here. Here's a couple that just popped up. They're scattered. Here's another one. So here's one for HVAC. Here's one for marketing agency. Here's one for real estate. So they're all in here. Insurance service. So they're all in here. The thing is, if you really want to, I would suggest there's a few golden nuggets when you're in this marketplace. You could filter them by pricing. So if you want to save the free ones, we can go ahead and filter those, and you could scroll down and see if you have one that meets your needs. You can also filter them by business niche. Okay. So if you have a specific niche you're looking for, or even get it close. Like for example, like if you're selling, say you clean windows or whatever, even any home service agent will get you 80% there. Okay. And I'm going to give you a tool today that would probably even get you even closer, but just get one of these and then modify it. The other thing I really like to do is, this is me personally. I'm in learning mode 24/7, 365. If you think you know everything about high level, you might as well just get off the call right now because high level doesn't know everything about high level. And I mean, I laugh about that, but Cece's laughing, but it's pretty true. So if
That is
anyone tells
true.
you they know everything about high level, just let's hang up the phone right now. So basically, I'm in learning mode 24/7. I don't stop. And essentially, I utilize this marketplace because I like to enjoy from others. I like to learn from others. So, for example, let's unfilter this free column, and let's just say I want to go for um, I want to go for different types of agents. Like, say, I want to say, here's a use case. I want to go for a Q&A. So here's a Q&A, but look at this. They have 54,000 minutes on this AI agent. To me, that sounds pretty valuable. Maybe I can learn something from that. So open up a sub account, install this agent, and then analyze the agent. Maybe they came up with a technique that I'm not showing today, but you could learn from that. That's exactly what I do with snapshots as well. I learned workflows that way. People were giving snapshots away. High Level has snapshots. They're floating everywhere. Does that mean I have to use that entire snapshot? No, but I have a sub account that's loaded with snapshot workflows. And when I want to do something, or I want to look at a bit or a piece of it, I open that workflow and I analyze it. And I was like, oh, that would be work perfectly. Why recreate it from scratch when I have a little head start? So you could do the same thing here. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to install one of these. It's very simple. So this one, look at this one right here. This one's got 6,000 minutes on it. It's an auto repair service. So all you're going to do is click on it, and then you're going to hit install. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to install into this account. So that one will be in the account now. So we're going to use that as an example for today. So let's see what we've got here. It was auto, right?
And while you're doing that, Michael, so what's really nice about it is that they can now download all these free AI agents based on what you're showing us right now, or they can actually
Yeah.
get the paid one.
Yeah, you could get the paid one. I have like 250 free ones that'll do you just fine. And I'm going to give you some tools today that are going to make your life easier. But yeah, if you want to support the marketplace and buy agents, by all means do so. If you have a client that has a very specific need and you feel you have to do that, that's fine. On these voice agents, so I'm going to show you everything you really need to know. All right, so here is the first page on the builder. So basically, we're on the agent details page. Now, I want to go over page by page. We're going to spend some time, more time on on certain pages than others. So this is where you're going to categorize the agent. This is going to be the agent name. AI doesn't care what you name this here. That doesn't matter. This is just a placeholder for yourself, and this is how you organize it in your sub account. The business name is the same. You could put any business name that you wish in here. That's not going to affect this agent at all. The AI doesn't care about this. This is just categorizing it in your high level account. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have the language. As you can see, you have a bunch of languages here, but if you scroll all the way down, I want to make you a note that we do have a multilingual option here. So this will handle all of these languages: English, Spanish, French, German, Hindi, Russian, Portuguese, Japanese, Italian, and Dutch in one agent. So when somebody that speaks English calls, it's going to speak in English. When someone speaks Spanish and calls, it's going to flip into Spanish. Same thing with Japanese, Italian, Dutch, etc. Okay? So that is a huge one for you. Now,
Yeah, and look
what
at
if
that.
they
There's Filipino.
there is
Michael, yeah,
Filipino. Yes, because
yeah.
I've done some agents there. Yes. So that is your choice. So let's just stay. We're going to go for English today. Okay. So the next thing that we want to look at is we have our voice selector. So this is where you're going to actually select your voice. Now this is important. So I can go into English, but I can go ahead and filter down by accents. So even though I'm speaking English, maybe I want a Scottish accent. So it'll narrow down your voice selector here. The other thing is there's a toggle here to the right, which is high quality only, and it'll filter them down to high quality voices. I will tell you, one thing. I know they suggest using high quality voices. I've used both and had really good results. So I wouldn't get too hung up on that. The next thing is you can obviously filter by gender. Some people love having a female answering the phone, and some people don't like having a female on the phone. So you have your choices there. Somebody asked about latency. They're always monitoring latency. High quality voices, you're not really going to see too much of a difference on the voice quality with that. The latency is an issue, and what I've seen on latency is HighLevel behind the scenes is always working on that. There's a lot of factors that affect it downstream. There's a lot of bits. I don't want to get too technical, but behind the scenes here, there's a lot of work that goes on to make this happen. And it could be one little bump in the road or one little kink in a garden hose that can affect latency all the way down the line. Because think about it, we're relying on a lot of people here to make this voice work. We're relying on Gemini, let's just say, because I don't know if everyone knows, HighLevel signed an agreement with Google, and they also have an OpenAI agreement. You could actually you could actually use HighLevel's AI services cheaper than you could use them if you go to their site directly, because they've negotiated better rates. But HighLevel's knowledge base is powered by Google, which is Gemini, or Gemini by Google. So there's a lot of pieces that are going on. So if 11 Labs goes down, that's the voice provider that HighLevel uses, that's going to be or has an issue with latency. Guess what? We're going to have an issue with latency. Same thing. But I'll show you some tricks to improve performance as well as we go. So this is where you're going to select it. You could listen to it. Keep in mind, one of the things, comments that I always get is, oh, when I listen to it here, it sounds totally different than when I use it in real life. That is true because this here is a different, they're capturing it a different way. So I would rely on making an actual call to listen to the voice. Okay. No, Vapi is not cheaper than this. HighLevel's platform is the cheapest by far. I use all the platforms. I'm a platinum partner in retail. I use retail. I use Vapi. I use all of them. Actually, one of my biggest clients, we do 500,000 outbound calls a month on Vapi. This is very expensive. Yeah, retail is the back end of HighLevel, but you got to realize HighLevel is also building upon retail. There's features in HighLevel that are not available in retail as well, both ways. So let's go ahead and now jump into the next thing, which is the advanced setting mode. There's a few key things that you really got to pay attention here. Number one, this may not be sufficient for you. This is the maximum call time. This is great if somebody just is on the call and sets the phone down or continues to ramble on and talk. So this is something to look at. My call time on an average call to make an appointment, I try to keep it to a minute and 30 seconds typically. Get them on the call, go through the process, get the appointment booked, and be off the call. I'm not here to have a 10-minute conversation, but there may be agents that do require some more because listen, I build specialized agents, not just people that take appointments. For example, I just did one for a massive electric company, has the entire national electrical code built into the agent. And the reason it has that is because it's a technical support agent for all their electricians, hundreds of electricians. And they do commercial work. So they can call this, it's a private number that the technicians can call. And they can say, hey, listen, I'm in a hotel, I'm doing an electrical remodel in a hotel. Hotel is this, many stories, here's the city. And basically, I need to know how high this outlet has to be from the floor. In 5 seconds, it'll tell them that. So this call may be longer for an agent such as that, a specialty agent. But the average appointment setter, it's going to be a minute and 30 seconds is what I'm striving for. This is where it's going to remind them if it's idle. Now, let's talk about the call length as well, because a lot of people, I want to make sure there's no misconceptions. HighLevel does offer a unlimited AI plan that you could subscribe to. What I would say is to monitor your clients. Start them off pay as you go, monitor your clients. When you start to see them creeping up, then you switch them over to a unlimited plan. But also there's caveats with that. So for example, your web widget, which is your web widget, your voice web widget that they release is technically an outbound call. You're not dialing it. So it's basically calling you if you really think about it. And that's how this works. So essentially, HighLevel doesn't have control of that. So that is not included in your AI cost. So it's not included in your unlimited. So if somebody gets some kid gets on there and wants to talk to your AI all day long and make your AI website chat their best friend, you know, HighLevel can't be responsible for that. So that's not included. The other thing that's not included is AI costs associated with Agent Studio. There's a lot of powerful tools in Agent Studio. For example, you got VO3 built into that where you can build videos. So they've got Google there. You could generate voice there. You can generate text there. You could generate images there. So there's a lot of AI and it could be very heavy. So that's not included as well. So this is where you set that. There's one setting here that I really, really want you guys to pay attention to because it trips a lot of people up. If you go into this agent behavior, do you see this response speed button? This is toggled to fast by default. And when we were on Synthflow, because HighLevel used to be with Synthflow on the back end, fast used to be the required step. I'm going to report this again to the development team today, but this really should be toggled to normal, all the way to the left to normal. Now, what is this? A lot of people think this is how fast the agent speaks. This is not that at all. This is how fast they respond when you're done talking. So if I'm at the end of a sentence and I stop, this is how long it's going to take the agent to jump in. If you put this on fast, you're barely getting done with your last word before that agent starts talking on top of you. So that's where I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, I can't even get a word in here. The agent is talking on top of me, or dominating the conversation." I hear that a lot. Just toggle this to normal. There may be on some voices that you have to go to moderate, but it's going to be normal for the most part with this system currently. Now, one of the things that I always get questions on is these voice agents. They're using 11 Labs behind the scenes. Well, why can't we just set a default and just let it ride? Because you can't. Every voice is different. When I use Vappy or I use Synthflow or I use Retail or I use HighLevel, I always have to fine tune the voice a little bit to make it sound more natural. That's by design. That's just how it has to be because every one of these voices is developed a little bit differently. So here is your interruption sensitivity. They have tool tips here if you haven't noticed, but this is the one how you can interrupt the agent. So if you don't want the agent getting interrupted, you can set this toggle. One tip with all of these settings right here is this is set by default. What I see a lot of people doing is taking this slider and saying, "Oh, I gotta check this," and they go like this. I don't want to see abrupt moves like that. I like to see a call, and then I want to see you move it one step, make a call, make a step, make a call. Okay, it does require repetitive testing. I'll talk about testing in a few minutes, but my average voice agent, when I deploy it, I do around 50 calls before it hits the street. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. The next setting is this temperature setting, how creative this agent is going to be. So if you want it wild and crazy, you're going to slide it all the way to the right. If you want it mild, maybe you want it very stable. It depends on the client. If you want it a little looser, I would, like I said, I would just toggle this up a little at a time until you feel comfortable. Now, what I'm comfortable with may be totally different than what Shamari is comfortable with, or what CC is comfortable with, or what Jay is comfortable with. So it's going to be all personal. The other thing you got to realize is voice is also personal. What I think sounds natural or robotic, maybe somebody else doesn't think that. I'm going to tell you something. I've developed, like I said, over 2,500 of these agents and have them out in the field. Some people will always say they're robotic. Some people don't really care, and most businesses don't care at the end of the day. They really don't. I mean, I've called Delta Airlines, and you want to talk robotic? It sounds like a real robot. So HighLevel does a pretty decent job. I enjoy working with AI. AI is a time compressor. It's not a replacement. It's a time compressor. It allows you to free up to do other things. But also, one other thing that we often forget is that it allows small businesses to compete with large corporations. So it does do that. So what some people consider really bad AI Go out into the marketplace and listen to some really bad AI at some large corporations that put you in a repetitive loop and you can never get out and you're frustrated. This is simple compared to that and very powerful. The next field that we have here is back channeling. This back channeling feature is available on most platforms. This allows it to sound more natural. You could put some words in here like, yeah, uh-huh. What I noticed from all the clients that I help is they always use these three. Yeah, uh-huh, So I would suggest going into ChatGPT and say, give me some back channeling words that I can use in these agents. Mix it up. And also make sure you don't overdo it because it'll sound unnatural if you slide this all the way to the right. Every 2 minutes, you're going to be saying, uh-huh. I personally, I have a Google Doc that has some phrases that make AI sound way more natural. And it sounds more natural because it's not perfect. So when you deploy these agents and they sound so perfect, that's what makes them sound unnatural. Because guess what? I'm on the call with you right now. I don't sound perfect. And when you're on the phone with anyone on this, of the hundreds of people that are on this call, it's not going to go perfect. So if you leave it perfect, it's going to sound a little too perfect and it's not going to sound natural. But there's ways like in the prompting itself, I can make it sound just as good as Vappy, just as good as Synflow, just as good as retail every time. And I've done it and people cannot believe it. So a lot of it comes down to how you build the prompts and how you build the agents. Let's go ahead to the next area. This is the actual speed of the agent. This is how fast the agent's going to talk. Keep in mind, maybe your client will decide that. Maybe you're dealing with elderly people and they want it a little slow. Maybe you're dealing with medical or something like that and you want to slow it down a little bit. Maybe it's a fast paced environment. You could speed it up a little bit. Voice temperature. See this? You could say, okay, here's how expressive and how varied the voice is. You could play around with this as well. Again, one toggle at a time. This is the actual voice volume. What I've noticed is some of the voices, especially if you're bringing them in custom from 11 Labs, some of them out of the box are very low in volume. You may have to tune this up a little bit. And then this is a new feature that just came out. Well, not just came out, it came out a little while ago, but they're adding to it. These are background noises that you could play in the background of the agent. So you want to make it sound like a call center and have phones ringing in the background. You could select any of these. That's a personal choice. And then I just leave this standard. This is what we used to have problems. If you're in HighLevel a year ago, you could be in a car and then it would hang up or it would get stuck because it would pick up background noise or other conversations. So that's this section. Does anyone have any questions? And I'll let CC monitor the chat, but if anyone has any questions, we can answer those now and before we move on to the next section.
And I just want to highlight to everybody that this voice AI settings is pretty much, customizable. So you just want to make it super natural, like super, like it sounds like an actual person. That's the reason why you have to play around how fast it will talk, like the background. I really like the background, Michael, because now you can make it sound like you are in a coffee shop or in a call center. So it doesn't really sound very AI that they don't have like a background noise or something. So that's really nice. So
Yeah, for
far we
sure.
have 270 people on the call, and yes, I'm watching the chat. So
Okay.
yes, yeah, we'll just keep going.
Okay, so one other question, and I forgot to go over it, but if you go into the voice area, we now have a section that says My Voices. So you could use an 11 Labs key and you could bring in your own voice. So you're just going to have an 11 Labs account. You can go in there, get a voice ID, and you can bring it in. If you notice, I have my own voice in here. So I've cloned my own voice and brought it in. What I would recommend, I'll give I get a lot of questions on this, so I'll just
That's
go over it
nice.
because when HighLevel first came out with this feature, they says you couldn't do it. And I said, no, I've done it already. So I know you could do it. And essentially, this here is my voice. So I would suggest yeah, you want to hear it? Let's see if I can hear it.
Yeah, and while you're playing it, Michael, is there any way to handle dialect because it varies area wise per Mr. Singh or in their period?
So dialect is a little bit tricky. If 11 labs has a pretty good selection, this would come into play right here because they do have some dialects. So for example, in
Yeah.
the US, they have Boston accent. they have that. So I would suggest explore 11 labs, and if they have dialect, for your area, that would be the place. Now, as far as how to do this and my voices, you'd have to get an 11 labs key, API key. If you want to do a professional voice clone, this is a professional voice clone in 11 labs. I don't recommend their 1 minute clone or uh, their quick clone. It's not, the quality is not there. A few tips with this though. I don't like there's certain things that I don't like to do. One of which is I don't like my voice answering my business calls. And the reason for that is we did this already. And then people call, oh, I spoke with you yesterday, but you really never spoke to me. So I always have it a very distinct, and I have the name of the agents all the same across the business, because if they say they spoke with Amy, I know it's the AI agent, either conversational AI, you could break it down by that. So I don't typically will use my voice. I will use my voice on certain special agents that we build. Perhaps I have voice on a landing page and I want it to sound like me. That would be a different story.
Yeah.
As far as the voice clone, the professional voice clone takes around 2 hours to do. You don't have to do that in one sitting, but you want to make it conversational. Maybe not read a script. Just get natural sounding audio of you and upload it, or just talk to it. And you could talk to it, somewhat energetic, and do that 10 minutes a day, and then it'll generate that voice clone after 2 hours of recording. It will give you your best result. So that is how you do that. The next thing is to bring it into HighLevel. It must be public. So if it's private voice, think about it. A lot of celebrities have voices on 11 Labs and they're private. Some celebrities make them public, and you could pay to use that celebrity's voice. You could pay to use my voice, but I'm not a voice model. So, but you have to make it public in order to bring it into HighLevel. So that's the reason. And that is done by adding the custom voice here. And you could do it right here by the voice ID. Okay. This is done at the agency, and you get 10 voices of import. All right. I think the next thing here is setting your time zone. This is going to set your time zone for the agent, but the agent can book calls across the time zone now. And then here's your model. I always leave it at 4.0 for now. I've been doing a lot of testing on these models, going to 5.2, 5.1. 5.2 is pretty new. I've been leaving it at 4.0. That's the recommended. I've been testing it. I've just been leaving it there for the most part. One of the things that we requested is, how much are you getting charged for this? Because, a lot of these voice providers, because I try to study pricing for everyone. So you start getting into these voice providers, and they're like, some of them will say, oh, I'm at 9 cents a minute. Some of them will say, oh, I'm at 12 cents a minute. Some are at 28 cents a minute. Well, what are we calculating? Some of them are only calculating the the actual voice usage. They're not putting on all the other fees, maybe transcription or TTS or knowledge base usage. So it starts to really creep up. So when you're comparing services, just make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Is all I'm saying. The one way to tell on HighLevel exactly what you're paying, these guys did it, is you can hover over this little minute thing, and it'll tell you exactly what you're paying for. So there's the LLM charge right there. It's 0.036 a minute on this particular model. Then the TTS is, which is text to speech, is 0.06 per minute. And then they're free. Post call analysis is free. Other places they charge. Knowledge base hosting is free. Other places they charge. So your total is 0.096 per minute for this. There may be some places they charge extra taxes and fees, but just be aware. Like I said, be aware of what you're paying for.
And
The
Michael,
next
I just
thing,
have a
go
quick
ahead.
question on that. Sorry to interrupt you. When you are working with, say, a client, and then they would ask you, "Hey, Michael, I want to get this AI agent set up. Can you tell me how much it would cost me per month, specifically?" I mean, I
Yeah.
know that you get asked a lot about that. Like, what's the estimate, like spend for AI
Yeah, I
agent?
will tell you, a comfortable thing to say would be, if it's a regular, normal business, not heavy user, like you'll know if somebody's a heavy user, you'll be able to identify that quick. But a normal user is probably not going to encroach on that $97 a month on charges by any means. I mean, the average user, $10 to $20 per month would be about. average. That's average. Some people will be
Yeah.
way over, and then maybe you go to an unlimited package. The other thing is, is that you know, as high level progresses, because they're all in on the AI game, as they start increasing the number of features, that AI unlimited starts to get a little bit more valuable. So just be on the pulse of that is all I'm saying. Just don't always go for the unlimited because you may be wasting either your money or your client's money. Now, CC brought up, or yeah, JC brought up a good point. Like a lot of customers say, well, how much is it? How much is this going to cost me? Well, one of the things I always do, and agency owners make this mistake. Maybe they're on a $97 plan. Maybe it's their first client, or maybe they're on a 297 plan. It doesn't matter. But you have to go from the start when you start your agency to always bill AI services on top of your fee. And the reason for that is plan for the future. Eventually, guess what's going to happen? You're going to grow, hopefully, and you're going to have a 497 plan, and you're going to want to rebill everything on your high level account. And you don't want that moment to be a shocker when you're
Yeah,
when you're saying,
true.
"Hey, listen, I'm building this voice agent, and all the AI is included." First of all, I don't do that because what happens if the guy's a heavy user? You're gonna, it's gonna be money out of
You're
your
gonna end
pocket.
up
But
paying for it.
yeah, and more importantly, what happens when you get to the 497 and you flip the switch, and now he's like, "Hey, you sold me it was $20 a month all in, and now it's you're billing me for usage." I'd rather just bill for usage, at right out of the gate, and then as you progress, you could bill for usage easily when you get to a 497 account and it's automated. Now, some people are like, "Oh, I don't care about billing for usage." Well, I do, because when you bill 8 accounts roughly, on average, your high level of subscription is pretty much paid for because you're going to be billing all these little bits and pieces, and your high level account is pretty much covered at that point. So a lot of pennies equal dollars, and if you don't care about them, you'll start to lose a lot more money. So I would suggest just pre-thinking that. I'm not telling anyone here how to run their business. You guys do it however you like, but I'm saying is set it up for success right when you get started. So you tell them, like, listen, your AI cost is going to depend on how much you use it. I can't predict that, and it's going to cost you X amount a minute,
Mm-hmm. And
approximately.
Michael, just
So
curious
they're not going to
because
object to it.
right, just curious. I don't know if you do have a specific question you normally ask. Let's say when you're doing a discovery call with a client, like how do you know at like on that call right away, like how heavy they'd be using AI? So for example, what do you really ask initially to identify that this person would most likely be a heavy AI user? I'm just curious if you
So
do ask that. Because I know we can always say, yeah, we cannot predict your usage because at the end of the day, I don't know how much you're going to be using AI for your business.
that's an excellent question. So, I'll give you my process, and you guys can emulate that, copy it, modify it. I'm giving it to you anyway on the call, so I'm going to
Oh,
give it to you. But honestly, what I like to do, my workflow is this. My workflow is somebody's interested wherever I get them from. Maybe they saw it on Facebook. Maybe it's somebody referred, whatever. The first thing that we do is we do a 10-minute discovery call with them. So it's an initial discovery call. The purpose there is not to deep dive with them. The purpose of that call is to weed out people that are not a good fit. So either they're a great fit, they're a great customer, or they're going to be a problem right off the get-go, and at that point, maybe you can't make them happy, and I'd rather just say, okay, they're not a great fit. So we put 10 minutes of that. A lot of people, and including myself, we made a mistake early on. We would say, "Hey, listen, oh, you're interested? We're going to book an hour call," and now we're sitting through an hour of my time or my office's time, and they'll take every bit of it. And at the end of the day, we didn't have a good fit. So it's easier to determine that in the first 10 minutes. You'll determine that in the first 5 minutes, honestly. And at that point, you just say, "Hey, listen, either, all right, this is awesome. We're going to move forward. Now we're going to book a 1 hour call with you, and we're going to deep dive into your specific situation." Um,
thank you.
if it's not
That's
a
really
good fit,
helpful.
I don't kick them. Yeah, I don't kick them to the curb either. I'm very respectful about it. We will say, listen, I don't know if we're the right people to help you, but I'm going to find somebody that would. And I would reach out to my network and say, send them an email later and say, hey, just give this guy a ring or give this person a ring, and maybe they would help you better. So, and it usually works out that way. But it's no hard feelings. I mean, we can't service everyone, and not everyone is a great
That's
fit
true.
for everyone. I mean, this is how it is. So, all right, so that's that. And then once we get them on the actual discovery call, that is where we deep dive normally. And my foot in the door, and I know a lot of people on this call have used this, I've given it away a lot, is I like to do an AI audit. So basically, you could do that one of three ways. You could either be a free audit where you say, hey, listen, hey, business owner, I was looking at your website and I think you really would benefit from my AI audit. It'll take about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we're going to look at your business and see maybe where we can help you and solve some pain points that you may have. And one of the things I talk about this a lot is I was helping somebody. I'll keep it anonymous, but in the medical field, they have a full-time receptionist, and I said to them, I said, one of the things when we do an audit is we pull their phone records, and they were using a common provider. I said, let me see your phone records. And with a full-time employee, they were missing 43% of their calls. And he's like, that is impossible. I said, it's not impossible. Number one, you know, if they're on another call, they're not getting that call. Number two, if they're in the restroom, smoke break or lunch, they're not getting it. Any breaks, they're not getting it. Number three, maybe they're talking to their family member, their daughter, kid, or whatever, and they're not switching over to grab the phone. Most people that answer these calls that are receptionists, I'm not talking bad about them, but honestly, like when you get up Monday morning, you don't really you're not excited to go to the doctor's office and just answer calls all day. It doesn't make your day. You know what I'm saying? So, think about that. I went into call centers. I have an attorney client that I deal with. They're a very large client. They're the number two personal injury firm in the US, and they have a call center. And believe me, the people that are answering the call at 3 in the morning, this AI will blow them away every single minute of every single day for consistency. So that is how we do it. But basically, we're going to look at those pillars that I talked about earlier, the database reactivation. Are they following up with clients? Because, so listen, I owned a big mega yacht service company, and we were the worst at following up with clients. And that's how I got involved with HighLevel years ago. So I'll give you a copy of that. You guys can utilize that. You could do that as a free audit. You could say, listen, you're going to pay for it. You could say, hey, listen, you're going to cost you a couple $100. We're going to do this audit. Or you could do a blended approach. You could say, listen, it's going to cost you a couple $100, but if we move forward, I'll take it off your setup. That's another way you could do it. But that's up to you. That's personal. All right, let's move forward. So this right here to me is most under looked at piece of these agents is agent initial message. This will right here is a game changer if you do it right. This is what takes a 5 minute call and turns it into a 1.5 minute call. And why do I care if it's a 1.5 minute call versus a five? Number one, it costs some money, but that's not even really the big piece of it. First of all, HighLevel's AI can handle what they call concurrent calls, meaning somebody calling that same number at the same time. They can handle 300 right now. So if you have 300 callers calling that same number at the same time, HighLevel can handle that. So, but this right here, like this is the biggest game changer. This is what keeps the AI on task. So, for example, this isn't the best. This isn't my best, but what I would do is always make this an open-ended question. So it's going to be always a question. If it's a statement, then you have stalemate on the call. The agent and the caller, they don't know who's next. So always is an open-ended question. That's rule number one. Number two, I like to give them three paths during that agent initial message. So, for example, if I'm going to be dealing with an auto repair shop like this, it would be like, hey, are you calling for service, sales, or something else? Because those are three great choices. So if they're calling for sales, guess what? I'm going down the sales flow chart in the prompt. If I'm calling for service, I'm going down the service flow chart. If you don't do that, guess what happens? You're in a big circle and you're back at the start and they could take the long route to get to where you need to go. Isn't it easier just to go right direct and get them on and get them off the phone? That's one of the things I like when I get an AI agent on the phone. Maybe I'm calling at 6 p.m. I want to get on the call and I want to get off the call. I don't want to spend 10 minutes talking about the weather and talking about your agency and talking about the car dealership. I want to like book my appointment, get on and get off. So if you could do that promptly, they're going to have a positive experience. But that is what's going to make or break you right there, is if you have three choices or three pathways and they get to choose it. All right. So, any questions on this area? We'll talk about this later, but anything in here because we're going to move into really where all the action happens next. No, okay. So the next thing is this area here. This is super critical. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. Can everyone see it? Okay, or do I got to zoom in more?
Yeah, we can
If you
see it.
guys,
We can see it.
okay, you
Okay.
could. Okay, good. All right, 'cause I'm on a massive screen, so this is an important area. So right now, I'm always in advanced mode. Normally, and I loaded this from an agent from the marketplace. But when you come into high level, it'll be on basic mode. Honestly, I don't even know why they have it because I never, ever, ever use it. So I'm always in advanced mode. This is where it gives you the prompt area and gives you a lot of customization options if you would like to use them. The next thing we're going to talk about, though, is the knowledge base. The knowledge base is very huge. One other thing for navigation, you could get to knowledge bases up here. You can get to the templates, which is the marketplace up here. And that's really all you need to know for this particular call. So the knowledge bases is a very important piece as well. And it's important because we talked about latency. The more you use the knowledge base, the more latency you could have because the knowledge base, a lot of people like to stack with information. The knowledge base, in my opinion, is the problem child on a lot of these agents when people are having problems. And why? Because they're putting things in the knowledge base that's hidden that you don't really see, and it conflicts with data that's in this prompt area, and the AI doesn't know what to do. So that's the number one problem when I get into people's accounts. When high level has me analyzing problem, the knowledge based data is different than this. Well, how does that happen? Well, it happens very simply because you scraped a website and the website's not updated, but you updated like the hours here. So now the agent's talking crazy and doesn't know what to do. So that's the number one problem. Earlier, I told you I built like 2,500 voice agents. I will tell you this. I've built 2,500. I've used the knowledge base 10 times, maybe, for deploying these agents. And it's for big data. 99.9% of my agents, everything is in this prompt area. And I'm going to explain to you why and how you do that. And I'm going to explain to you what to use and what not to use in this knowledge base. Just because it's here doesn't mean you have to use it. So let's create a new knowledge base here. It's going to jump over to a different screen. So this is important. So I'm going to create a new knowledge base. I'm just going to call it test for today. And you don't really need anything here. So
And I think that's
uh,
one of my favorite line that I hear tonight, Michael, because I've seen a lot of people, people that trained AI specifically, like how you set up your voice AI, how you set up your conversational AI. And the first thing that they ask people is to build their knowledge base. But hearing how you built 250 of them and not using the
no,
knowledge base,
2,500,
yeah,
2,500 of them.
2500, right? I mean, not using the knowledge base makes a lot of sense because this is where, as you've mentioned, a lot of people makes mistakes because they're just putting everything in a document or just put a website and then they they think AI will do the magic and just analyze everything for them, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
I'm going to tell you what
I
has to
like
be
that.
in the knowledge base and what really doesn't. But so these are all different sections of the knowledge base. High level has really expanded this. They've made their knowledge base. It's really, honestly, it's a 10 out of a 10 as far as like technology behind the scenes on a knowledge base. They're using Gemini behind the scenes to run this, and it's really, really good. Before they fixed that, it was like number 10 on the list as far as like down on the list. Now they're probably number one as far as knowledge base. But the first one is web crawler. This is going to allow you, so this is going to allow you to go ahead and look at URLs and it'll scrape the website. I I'm going to say this a nice way. I don't recommend this because if you ever seen the data that comes in behind the scenes of this, it's not the greatest. I'll show you a little bit better way of doing this, but I don't recommend doing this unless, it's a total necessity, but I don't recommend it. So that's one. Number two is FAQs. This is my number one way to handling knowledge base. Why am I doing this? Because question and answers, word for word, it's easily displayed. So if I have an issue, I can go right into the FAQs. You could do 75 of them in high level. I can have 75 question and answers. That should take care of most of your knowledge base issues. So, like, I could put a question, answer, then go to the next one. If I have a problem, I can go in there and readily identify it. I can change it very easily. The client can do it if they're doing it themselves, or you could do it for them. But this is my number one go-to. The next one is rich text is a huge one for me. I like this. It's the same thing because I could go ahead in here and paste a document, or I could paste text in here. And we're going to talk about knowledge based composition in a few minutes, but this is really good. I used to do a workaround where I used to put it on a funnel page and then have the URL pointing to an internal funnel page that wasn't populated, but I don't have to do that anymore because they have rich text. I can go ahead and put it in here, and I could easily see it and change it. I like that. The next one is file upload. So you could see I could upload, if I go to file upload, it'll tell you the types that you could use. So I could use PDFs, I could use Docs, or I could use Google Docs. So Word Docs or Google Docs. I could put those in there if I would like to do that. Personally, I would just open it up and try to paste it into the rich text, and I like to slim it down if at all possible. Now, why do I say all of this? Well, first of all, let's talk about the last couple. I do have tables here. I do use tables because tables is good. Like, say I have a company that, maybe it's a used car lot. I can put all their used cars on a table, and I can refer to that table pretty easily. If I start to get a lot more than that, I'll use an external database with MCP, which has an MCP server API to grab that data if it's extensive. Like, I've built agents that go out and handle 20,000 SKUs on a Shopify store and gets tracking or gets information. I would never put this in a table or try to even do it in Airtable or anything like that. I would just build an app in Shopify and hook it to the agent on the back end. A little bit more advanced for some of the people on the call, but it's doable. Now let's talk about what has to be in the knowledge base, and what, this is very important too. If you start bogging the agent down with a lot of data here, every time that agent has to go out and search, I've seen people put file uploads and have massive, massive, massive uploads in here. Every time that agent has to search this knowledge base is a blip in the agent, meaning they have to do an API call, and it has to search this knowledge base. And sometimes it'll take longer because you've got so much data. Maybe there's conflicting data. Maybe you have file uploads that don't agree with the website. It doesn't agree with the prompt. Now we're causing problems. So what really has to be in here? What has to be in any knowledge base or prompt for that matter is things that are pertaining to that business, and that business specifically. That's what's important. If I'm doing a AI agent for a pest control, I don't need to tell it about pest control. The AI already knows everything about pest control. Trust me, it knows better than any receptionist about pest control. Now, it doesn't know that you're open on Saturdays. If you're a med spa, it doesn't know, if you're bundling treatments. It doesn't know if you're a doctor's office, what insurance you take, as an example. So that's what really needs to be in the prompt, and that's what needs to be in the knowledge base if you're going to elect to use it. It doesn't need to know that, you have to stay off your lawn after you spray it for 3 days. The AI knows it already. You don't have to worry about that. So that's it doesn't need to know about, side effects of Botox. It already knows that. If you call any AI agent right now and say, "Hey, what's the side effects of Botox?" It's just the same thing as you putting in the ChatGPT. Does ChatGPT know what the side effects of Botox is? I'm sure it does. So it's the same thing here. It doesn't need to know that, but it doesn't know, like, hey, what insurance does XYZ take? Or are you guys open on Saturdays? Or what's your refund policy? Or things like that. Or, just things that are specific to the business. That's what needs to be in the prompt, and that's what needs to be in the knowledge base. So let's just, for a second, let's just jump back right here to this prompt area. So this prompt area is huge. And I'm going to explain my workflow. You guys can utilize it if you like. If you don't want to use it, that's fine too. So this prompt is by default gets loaded into got loaded here because we imported it from an agent that was in the marketplace. This is super easy for you to utilize. Even right now, if I want, like, this is set up for a auto repair shop, right? But what if I said, hey, listen, I would really like to utilize this prompt, but I want to use it for a med spa. Well, we could do this. I mean, I could just go in here. I could go Command A and I can copy it. And let's just do a little experiment while we're on the call. I'm going to show you something. So we can go into ChatGPT. I could say, analyze this prompt and wait for my, and then I could just paste that in, right? So I just said analyze the prompt, wait for my direction. So it's going to take a look at it. So it'll give you a lot of times it'll give you some a report. One of the things about ChatGPT, I'm going to tell you this: if you're using ChatGPT to do prompting or whatever you're doing, be careful going back and forth with it. Like a lot of times, ChatGPT gets very lazy, and you'll be missing half your prompt or certain components of your prompt if you keep going back and forth with it. If you're going to do that and you want to analyze it and you want to go back and forth with it, Manus does a very nice job of that. But I'm going to show you something. So now it looked at this already and it just analyzed it. I do use ChatGPT for two things. I'll do what I'm going to do right now, and I also use it if I have an agent that has a problem and I can't figure it out. I'll put the prompt in there and say, hey, analyze this. This is what's happening. Can you give me some suggestions on fixing it? So you could do that, but don't keep going back and forth because it's going to degrade your prompt, I assure you. And a lot of times, what it'll do as well, it'll put quotation marks around sentences, which directs the AI agent to read that sentence specifically rather than be conversational. And it'll do it when you're not paying attention and you'll paste it in there. So just be aware of that. So uh, take this prompt and make. So basically, I said, take this prompt. Oh, my spelling's awful, huh? I'm trying to do two things at one time, and my caps lock is on. So I said, hey, take this and make it for a med spa. So right now, it's going to do this, and it's going to reformat this now for a med spa. And I said, hey, give me sample data. So I could take that one prompt and use this thing 1,000 times, and you could have a master in your Google Drive. And now it just did exactly that. So it did it, as it said, I said, make up fake data. So you could sit here and switch this out, and you can go in here, and now I can change this. You know, this is all, like I said, not real data, but it's going to tell you like, hey, here's the scripts. Hey, I do injectables, facial rejuvenation. This will get you pretty close. I mean, if you're going to do pricing, some people do pricing on the call, some people don't. And that's one of the things that I'm going to tell you is that, every one of these voice agents is what I call semi-custom. There's no real snapshot for a voice agent because I could be a med spa in I'm in Palm Beach, Florida. I could be in Palm Beach, Florida, and have a med spa, and then three blocks away, I can have another med spa, and the voice agents are going to be totally different. Now, why would that be? Well, some may say, "Hey, I want to transfer to humans." Some want to give pricing on the call. Some don't want to give pricing on the call. Some are open Saturdays, and some are not. Maybe some go to their house. We have med spas here that'll go to their house and do a treatment. Some don't do that. So these are all some. You know, some doctors take certain insurance. So it these are all what I call semi-custom, and that is fine because you're getting paid a setup fee, and that's what that setup fee is for. So it's not something that you could snapshot on every single one and just pop it out without looking at it. You're going to have a disaster on your hands. So anyway, this is a prompt, and then basically this will get you started. You could say also, I want to output this as Markdown because all of these systems now will put out Markdown, and you could paste it right back into the prompt area and be ready to go. All right. But I'm going to show you an easier way as well. Now, how do I do my normal workflow? So I'm going to be building this and I'm checking this right now, and it says, okay, this is critical. Here is what This is a very common question I get. Well, it wants to know, I want to know on the second call that this caller has called before, and I also wanted to know previous call history. So if it calls on number two or three calls down the line, I wanted to know the data that was on call number one and two, and also I want to greet the person by name. So this prompt is set up to do that. Let me scroll it. Sorry. So it says here, heartfelt welcome. If they're calling back, because we're using a custom field here, I just leave that blank. If that custom field's filled out, the agent will know and recognize them that they've called before. If that call is blank, if this is their first time, this field will be blank, and then the agent will ask them their name. Okay. And the same thing, you could do emails, phone numbers. You could say previous, you could have a field that says previous call history and give it a summary, and you could use the summary. The only thing, if you're going to use summary for previous call history, make sure that you put in the prompt, don't read that out word for word. I'll get right with you in the chat. And then don't read it word for word, because when I first started testing this for HighLevel, basically, and you put call history, and somebody said, "Hey, what did we talk about this on the call?" It started reading the entire transcript. Say, don't read the transcript, only refer to it. Okay. So that's number one. There was a question: if we use one phone number, handled by voice. A little bit about phone numbers in general. Good question. So one of the things that we get a lot is number one, small businesses. If you're doing small businesses, they're tied to usually the owner's cell phone number. This is a great opportunity to get them off of that, because they're prisoners of their own business. Now, every client, could you imagine every client of yours, and you're running an agency with 1,000 clients, they all have your cell phone number. They're going to be calling you nights, weekends, and everything. So this is a good chance for that person to actually get away from that. You may have to grab their cell phone number, port that into HighLevel, and then have a dedicated line for their business, and get a new cell phone number, because it's easy for that person to get their friends and family and give them their new phone number. Number two, you could forward any line you'd like into these agents. That's easy from a cell phone. It's also going to depend on if they have advertising. Maybe their vans uh, are wrapped, as an example. So they're stuck to that phone number. But think about it. If you're going to be selling a system, if you could get them to import their number, they're not likely to leave you. So just keep that in the back of your head. I'm not looking to hold anyone prisoner here, but it's like, I'm sure a lot of people on here have a AT&T or Verizon or a cell phone provider. No matter what happens, you're not leaving. Typically it's such a hassle. It's kind of like a bank account. I've been with the same bank for like years and years. I'm not really exactly, thrilled with them, but imagine trying to switch your bank. It's like a nightmare. So it's the same thing. If you can get them to leave your phone number in here, they're gonna stay with you long term, if that's even possible. So bulk numbers for batch calling and verifying them. I'm using HighLevel on all my numbers. I don't use Twilio. I just use HighLevel for all my numbers for the most part. There's some external systems that use, you have to use their, Twilio as an example. And I built some custom systems for personalized ringless voicemails and things. So I'm dialed in with Twilio on those. But everything I do in HighLevel, I use pretty much a HighLevel number. So that is that. Now let's talk about normal day-to-day workflow. So let me do this. Let me go into a Google Doc. So here's my normal workflow when I'm working on. Let me get rid of some of this garbage. So I'm working in here, right? And I start to work on this prompt, and I see, okay, this is going to verify email. You guys could study this. You'll pick this up very quickly, but this is a good format to get you started in it. And one of the things I like is to do with these prompts is everything's very linear. So you want these agents to be like, okay, here's my objectives. This is where they keep them on track. So one, you're going to do this. Two, you're going to do this. Three, you're going to do this. Four, you're going to do this, and down the line. So guess what happens on number one? Well, number one, you go scroll down to number one, you're going to have a portion of the prompt that grabs their details. So that's one of the things you want to do. So you're going to grab their name, their email, and the phone number. There's a spot in the prompt for that. You're going to say, what are your needs? What are you calling for? We're going to have a spot in the prompt for that. Same thing about products and services. We have a section on that. So, but you're telling the agent, start here and go down the line and capture all this data. Now, how do I test this and make sure it works? So we have this little test panel over here. So I have this prompt in here and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start making some calls. Here's my normal workflow, and this is very important. It's going to save you a lot of time, effort, and energy. So you could use the web call panel. This will give you free 10 minutes of call time. It's going to take you longer than that to troubleshoot these agents in general and to test them properly. So you're going to test this and you can start a web call. So you're going to be talking to your computer and you're going to start working through that. Now, I don't run through the entire call. I run that call until I have a problem and then I stop and then I fix it. And the reason for that is I run through that whole entire call and I'm taking notes on that, and I'm making changes in the front that may affect the back end. So I fix a problem and then I do another call. I fix a problem, I do another call. I fix a problem, I do another call until I've been through the entire call. And my last step when I test is if I have data in this prompt, I'll scroll through this prompt and I'll call it, even though I have steps. I won't go down the steps. I'll call the agent and say, it'll ask me like what my problem is. I'm like, oh, I don't have a problem, but I want to do this. Tell me if I have a problem, who am I getting transferred to? Tell me what your hours are on the weekends. Tell me what your hours are during the week. Tell me what this, tell me this, tell me this, and just rapid fire a lot of questions at the agent. At that point, you could do a lot of rapid fire testing and identify if you have conflicts in the database or problems in your prompt. So just ask it repetitive questions over and over. Don't even just let it answer another question. Don't let it take you down a path. Just ask it, because if it's answering something incorrectly, you're going to be able to identify it very quickly. You're not going to do that by going down the whole rabbit hole and going through and make an appointment. So that's how I do it. Now, let's just say I do have a problem. How do I fix it? So what I normally do, my workflow is this. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to Command A. I'm going to copy this prompt in total. Then I'm going to go to a Word doc and I'm going to do my work over here. So I'm going to paste it here. So here is my prompt all together, right? So let's just say my business hours are wrong. Okay. So here's my business hours, 9 to 5. But realistically, I'm supposed to be open on a Saturday, right? So I'm going to switch it here and I'm going to put now I'm open on Saturday. So I'm just going to put now I'm open on Saturday. Okay. So what do I do? So now I'm gonna Command A. I'm gonna copy that. I'm going back to my HighLevel account. I'm just gonna delete that and then I'm gonna paste it again. Now, why do I do that? I'm going to tell you why. Because you're going to make some changes. Maybe those changes didn't go very well. Maybe it went worse than you had thought. And you hit this save button. But do you notice on HighLevel, there's really they've got a little undo button here, but if you start going down the road a little bit, you can't undo it. But if I can go back to this Google Doc, I can go and revert and revert and revert and revert until I get to the point where I know it was working better. Okay, so this gives you unlimited revisions where HighLevel doesn't do that. So I always operate in the Google Doc, put it in. Now, one other trick is if I notice I'm making very extensive changes, I'll save this doc as a name and I'll use another doc. So I always have a permanent backup point. So maybe this is going to be MedSpa name version 1, but now I'm into version 2. At least now I know that I don't have to start completely from scratch if things go haywire. All right. So that's a normal workflow for me day to day. So that's that. The other thing is we have custom values here. These are important. So anytime you see this little tag icon, if you notice, it was in the up here in the initial message as well. This is great if you want to put templates together and deploy them. Okay. So you could say, hey, listen, I'm going to have the same agent name across the board all the time. And I could put that in a custom field or a custom value and populate this every single time. Same thing here. I can have data and I don't remember like all these custom values. I don't really remember them. So here's the standard contact fields. I want to have contact fields. You can grab them when you see this little tag. All right. So that's available. They HighLevel built this evaluator here that will evaluate the prompt. I generally don't utilize it, and I don't utilize their standard prompt that's in here. I have my own little format, but I'm going to make your life a lot easier here in a few minutes. The other thing, these prompt guidelines, this will take you to a help doc that shows you their rationale behind the prompting. It's so. But it's a guide if you'd like to read it. This is new edition. This is the system prompt. So this system prompt is I haven't really seen very many voice platforms that let you have access to their system prompt. But what this does is allows you to set, this is their custom prompting behind the scenes. Like this is like what retail would use to say, hey, here's how these agents are performing globally. So you can go ahead and make some of these changes across the board. So like appointment booking is an example. I can change it and change the wording or change some of the customization. That's a nice little deal. One of the ones that comes into play is this numbers, for example. So if it's not saying the number correctly, like say 10027, not 10,027. So if you have something that's specific to your industry, this is where you could fix that. All right. So that's that. Any questions on the prompting area or the testing portal?
Mhm. Actually, Michael, I'll ask in behalf of them as a beginner, for example, because a lot of people would see that there's this advanced prompt. Actually, this is like newbie question. I would like to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious about this too. So, like in the prompt field, do you see like how we normally add like the number sign before, let's say, primary objectives in
Hmm.
order? Does it do anything special?
Yeah, so that's basically I have a little guide on that. I could throw it in the resources that I'm going to give you guys. But basically, this is called Markdown. So a couple of things in the prompt area and high level. Number one, no emoji. So if you start getting an error where you can't save it, you probably have an emoji in there. So you can't have any type of emoji. The other thing is, if you notice, there's nothing here that's bold or anything like that. This tells
Right.
the agent that this is bold, essentially. So, yeah, this is called Markdown. So you could take any doc and put it into ChatGPT or Manus or whatever and say, hey, give me true Markdown. And it'll give you Markdown and it'll format it exactly like this.
Mhm.
You could open
Thank
this
you
in a
so
text
much.
editor and yeah, no
I'm
problem.
sorry, go
And
ahead.
then the other thing is you'll see things that I've put here critical. When I use the word critical, it does let the LLM know that hey, this is a must or mandatory. So those are some words that I'll use on occasion if it's super critical. If I see it not doing what it's supposed to do, and to kind of whip them into shape. So that is another thing that you may keep in your back pocket. Now, the next thing that's super important and really the lifeblood of this entire
What if someone books
okay.
an appointment through the
Okay.
call, but the contact
That's a
details did not reflect?
yeah,
Okay.
that's a really that's a very good question, Christine. So let's go over that because this is another one. I had to show high level this. So essentially, and you brought it up at the perfect time. That's awesome because I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and how to fix that. So what her question is people book a call on the voice agent and say, hey, listen, I have an appointment Tuesday morning at 10:30. And then you go to like your Google Calendar and you see the appointment there, but it doesn't show the name or it doesn't show what the appointment's about or it doesn't have any data there. It just says hey, there's an appointment. And listen, I had the same issue, so I had to figure it out. So I'm going to show you why that happens right now, which is perfect. Like I said, perfect timing. So these are actions. So this is really this is like superpowers of these agents. This is where you could do a lot of things right here. This is what makes it different than a regular voicemail system or even an advanced agent. So we have these actions. So if I click on these actions, you have all of these different panels here. We're going to go through each one of those really fast. I have a call transfer because look, I have a human transfer here. This is where you set up that says, hey, listen, maybe if the caller's agitated, we could do a call transfer. But I'll give you a more realistic application. Most of these voice agents aren't going to be able to answer billing questions. So that's not going to happen. So if somebody has a billing question, normally we have to do a human transfer for that. Or maybe you're qualifying a lead, and once it's a hot lead, you're going to let the agent pre-qualify that lead and transfer it to a real salesperson to close the deal, perhaps. So that's a way to utilize this human transfer. So when I utilize this, here's an example of what it looks like. I have these pre-populated right now for human transfer. So this is going to tell you the number it's transferred to. This could be inside or outside a high level. Well, actually, it could be a high level number, but it could be also outside a high level. It doesn't matter. It can go to anywhere. So when should this take place? One of the things that I want to point out here that a lot of people miss, you're allowed to have 500 characters here. And This is that's another trick here. So anytime you see these little lines here in the corner, that means you could scale this window. So you could open it bigger for you. That's on the prompt area as well. I should have pointed it out there, but I'll point it out here. So there's 500 characters here. That's huge. That means that tells me that that's pretty powerful in my mind. But I've used this very extensively because this is where you could prompt this to do a lot of stuff. So if I want to analyze a lead, I want to say, hey, is this a hot lead, a warm lead, or cold lead? You have to identify what a hot lead, a warm lead, and a cold lead is because the AI doesn't know what it is. But you could go ahead and do that, and then it can classify that. But as long as you prompt it in this area. But anyway, this one is look during transfer during business hours, and then you're going to transfer it to whoever. And the AI, when somebody's on the call and says, hey, I have a billing question, it's in the prompt, and it'll say, okay, the agent knows, and it's going to transfer it to this phone number. You could also put something in this field that it'll tell the person on the phone, I'm going to transfer you to a senior member of my staff, or I'm going to do whatever. If you don't want to put that, most of these prompts, you could go ahead and just delete that. And if it says field required, just put a space there. And then you could bypass that. Okay. It won't say anything. Just put one space there. But if you come back and take that space out, it'll tell you that it's required. So you could do that. And then lastly, well, what is a whisper message? A whisper message is when you do that transfer, that the person that's getting that transfer is going to get a clue as to who's on the phone and what they're calling about before they connect to the call. It's going to tell them, hey, so-and-so's on the line, they're calling about this. Okay. So that is what the whisper message is. Okay. All right. So that's transfer. The appointment booking action, which is here as well. So appointment booking is here, but I have it selected. So I'll show you a little bit about this. There's been some changes here. So we could pick a calendar, a little bit about demos. I know a lot of people like to run demos on these agents. I suggest if you're going to run demos and you're a new agency, have a sub account to handle all your demos because your calendar, I mean, your contacts are going to get slaughtered by every single call that comes in. It's creating a contact. And then also keep it separate with your calendars. I mean, you could have a fake calendar. I have a fake booking calendar. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Yeah, see a fake booking calendar. All my demos would have that. But keep your demos in a sub account just for demos, and it'll keep your contacts a little bit neater for you. Otherwise, you're gonna have thousands of calls. People you give the number out to, they gave it to somebody, and next thing you know, you got 1,000 fake contacts. So the calendar selection, I'm gonna do that, and then I hit next, and then normally here, just a little tip. I usually do 2 days of offerings and I do 2 slots per day. And I usually do 4 hours between the slots. If you keep this at the max, it's a long, I mean, I can't even remember what the agent said when they're done with it. They're like, would you like a call Monday at 9 a.m., 10 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, da, da. So all of a sudden now you have like 12 choices and it's pretty difficult. So I usually keep this at 2 and 2, and then I put this at 4 usually because the agent will give you an option for a morning or an afternoon slot, and that's normally what they look for. But if somebody says, "Oh, do you have anything else available?" the agent will still do it. So the other thing is, this is very new, and this is really specific to HighLevel. There's not many voice platforms that do this. I don't know if you know this, but you can book to 50 calendars here. So I can have multiple calendars selected. So I can connect with all of these calendars if I want. So why would I ever do that? Well, like think about it. If you're a salon and you have hairstylists, and each hairstylist has their own specific calendar, you could book to that individual stylist calendar or barber shop or auto mechanic shop or things like that. Mostly service related businesses where you have multiple calendars that could come into play. But you can book up to 50 calendars and AI directs it as a router to that individual calendar. So the AI will determine, and it's pretty spot on. So it could say, hey, listen, I want to book with Cece today, and it'll go to Cece's calendar. Oh, I want to book to Michael, and it'll go to Michael. Or I want to book to Stephanie, it'll go to Stephanie. So that's how that works. So you can book to 50 different calendars. The only shortfall that I found right now, and I'm working with them on the back end, is that um, like some like if you want to bundle things, like if sometimes services take 2 people, that's difficult right now. Or it would take 2 people on 2 calendars. It's just a little bit difficult. So there's some very some limitations, but not, it's come a long way for sure. Now, the next thing is these custom fields. I'm just going to do one, and this applies for all of them. So this is going to be the name. So you're just going to put first name, has no bearing on anything, just as an identifier for you. So then you're going to say, okay, what field do I want to upgrade? I want to upgrade the first name field, which is a standard field in HighLevel. So basically, when somebody gives their first name on the call, it's going to grab it and populate that field. And then I always write in here, extract the first name of the caller. Easy. And then you give it some examples. I normally will do like 2 guys and 2 girls. It doesn't really matter. I've seen people do it with one. I just make a habit of doing 4 down here. And if you wanted to overwrite it, meaning something's already in there, you could overwrite it. Well, when would you do that? Well, I'll give you one example. So if you're making an agent and it's a big office building or a school or something like that, and they're calling this agent, keep in mind that you could have from that single phone number, you could have hundreds of people calling from that single phone number because it's a common number. So think about that for a second. So I'm calling from a major office building, but every time I call out, that's the same number on the outbound call. So it could think it's John, but it's really not, because now it's Mike is calling from that number. So you could overwrite that field and repopulate it. So that's one way of using that button there. So now let's get in. I forgot who asked that question. Okay, it was Christine. Asked the question on, I have a calendar, but now my calendar, my data from the call is not showing up there. So how does that happen? So we're using custom fields to do that. And let's just talk a little bit about the process, what goes on when you're booking an appointment. All right. So when you're booking an appointment, first of all, people ask me this all the time. Hey, when it says about the dates and the times and all that, like, hey, can I change that? No, because that's hard coded. So in HighLevel, as soon as you say the word appointment and you go down that tunnel, you're directed into that mini workflow, and you're not coming out of it until it's completed. So you can't, everything you do inside there is not happening. It's going to book the appointment it's one way and one way only. And when you're done, it spits you out at the other end. Now, her question was like, well, why aren't I getting this data if I already, if I'm getting first name on the call and email and all that? Well, the reason for that is, think about it. So if you book the call and it books on the calendar, you only need a couple things really to book that. You need like a phone number, but the agent's got a phone number because you called it in. And up until recently, email, I'm not sure if they released that yet. My account's a little bit different. You have to have an email, but I know they're going to loosen that up, I think, in the next week or so. So, well, what about other things? Well, what's the reason for your call, or what's your service address? You want all that on the Google Calendar because you may have a technician that has to go there, or why, what appointment did they book, or whatever. So the thing is these right here during the call and after the call are important. All right. This is very important, actually. So if it's data that you need on the call, you're going to do it during the call. If it's data that is really not critical, you're not going to reference it. Put them all after the call. Why do I say that? It's going to increase your performance, because every time you use these 2 sections, this is an API call. So if you're going to be doing all this field gathering, you could do like 70 fields or whatever. If you're going to do that all during the call, every time you do that, you're going to have a little blip. All right. So the best practice is, unless you need that data right now, like it has to reference on the call, put it to after the call. It's better. Now, let's talk about her question specifically. Like, why isn't it populating? Well, it's not populating because you may have captured that data after the call, which is no good because it's already booked the appointment. So it's not going to go back and populate your Google Calendar. So the reason that it doesn't populate is, number one, it has to be during the call, whatever you want to populate in that Google Calendar or in that appointment calendar. And number two, it has to be before the appointment is booked. So if you book the appointment and then later in the call you say, hey, what was the reason for your call? Well, the appointment's already booked. It's not going to go back and repopulate your calendar. It's too late. So whatever you want on that calendar, prompt it before the appointment and grab that data during the call. That's going to fix it. Okay. And then in your calendar settings, there's a setting in your actual calendar setup in your, on your profile, what gets pushed to your calendar. So that is the reason for that. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Um, So the other actions that are here is send SMS. So I can actually send SMS on the call. So that's good. So I want to send them a link. I want to send them a link to a web page, or I want to send them a form, or I want to send them anything. Maybe it's a waiver or insurance paperwork. You could do that on the call. So you could just tell them to do it, and you can do a template here and send it. All right. And the agent, as soon as they hear it, you could say, hey, I'm going to send you the link, and boom, it'll send it to them. Okay. All right. So the next one is, let's see, I got all of these. The next one is custom action. This is a very important one as well. So this is using API calls. This is what I'm telling you. You can get external data. So for example, you want to use a Google API key and look something up. Uh, maybe you're looking at Google Places, or you want to incorporate Google Maps data, or you want to incorporate driving directions, or you want to incorporate the weather. You could do all of that right here. All right. And if you ever get stuck on this, just do a screenshot, bring it into ChatGPT and ask it what I should put here. If you get stuck, if you're learning, I mean, that's a good way to learn. But the action name doesn't matter. When should it take place? It's going to be the same as all the other fields I showed you. And then what to say, that's the same. And then basically you just have this data, and it looks intimidating if you've never done it before. Maybe you're not sure, but just take it and say, listen, I want to grab weather data. I recommend somewhere an API where I can get weather data, preferably free, and show me where do I put this? And you could even tell them that it's not working and to take a look at it, and they'll direct you exactly how to get going. And once you do it once or twice, you won't need to use ChatGPT anymore. But that'll allow you to do that. Okay. But this is using external APIs. The next thing is MCP. MCP, if I can just keep it very basic for the purpose of this call, is like an old school switchboard. So you have all these wires coming in, like the lady's plugging all these wires in. You've probably seen it in old movies where they're plugging the switchboard in. Well, it's basically got a bunch of wires over here. You got a bunch of wires over here, but they don't really match. The MCP just lines them up and puts a connector. That's all it is. So HighLevel has their own MCP now, and essentially you can incorporate that with other pieces of software, and you could use it on the call. Okay. So if there's, like, for example, 11 Labs has their own MCP. You could utilize that if you want to use data, or you want to grab data from somewhere that has an MCP. There's a website where you could search MCP servers. Almost everyone now is starting to put them up. A year ago, no one really even had very many. There's a website that you could search. Just say do a Google search for searching for MCP servers, and you'll find them. The last thing that's important down here is you could trigger workflows. So at the end of the call, I say, listen, I want to trigger a workflow, and I wanted to maybe summarize the call more efficiently, or put it in a certain format, or I wanted to notify people differently, or I want to, do anything that you could do in a workflow. You could just trigger that workflow here. And then who gets notified here of when this call is over? Because they're going to get a summary of the call. You could do it all admins, all users, but you can also do custom emails. I wanted to point that out. It could be somebody that's not even involved with your organization right here. All right. So that can be toggled on, or you could put all of these. It doesn't matter. So that is this section here. Any questions on that? How are we looking for time? Okay. What time did we start? We've been going an hour and a half already?
We've been going an hour for over an hour and a half.
Whoa.
And this is
Okay.
still really cool. I mean, I've been taking a lot of notes.
We're almost done. That's the good part. But let's go into the phones real quick. Here is where you're going to get your phone number. You could buy a new number here. So one of the questions I get is A2P registration. Everyone's frustrated with it. I get it. And I'll post that in. I'll post the MCP search in a minute. I'll look it up for you. The a lot of people ask about A2P. Like, what's the story with A2P? Well, A2P is not required for a voice agent. It's only required if you're sending SMS. So you could set up a demo today and build a full voice agent and utilize it without any restriction with no A2P. Okay. If you're texting, then you need it. So you could go ahead and buy the numbers. They're very inexpensive. You could do number pooling, which means you could have different area codes and link them together and such. I'm not going to get all into all that, but basically you could select in numbers and have them in here and assign it to the agent. The biggest takeaway on this page really is this right here is number one, when you meet resistance, if you're selling this, one of the resistance you may have is they don't like AI. So the number one thing I do is I say, okay, I got it. You have a problem with it, no problem. How about this? Rather than you miss calls, why don't we just put it active when you don't answer? So what business owner would say no to that? Hey, I'm going to answer on the weekends, holidays when you're not answering, or when your receptionist is at lunch in the restroom, or whatever. So that would be a middle of the road solution for somebody just to get a foot in the door. You just toggle this on and say, listen, I want to answer when the agent when the real person is not answering, the real receptionist. You could enable that. The next setting that's important is this work hours for the agent. So it's pretty powerful. They got it pretty robust in here. I know it's a basic feature, but look, you could set this from 8 to 5. Oh, or I could set it from 8 to 9 p.m. I could set it to 8 to 9 a.m. And then I can add additional from 10:15 to 11:15 because maybe that person's at break, where I could add another one and I can add another one. So I can have all these times specifically set when that voice agent is active or can pick up the call. Then to make your life easier, they just put a little toggle here, which allows you to copy it to all the days or just some of the days. So you can rapidly set that up. And you could toggle off Saturdays and Sundays pretty easily if you don't need it. So that is that. The last piece of this before I show you a little show and tell is, and trust me, you don't want to leave right now, is this dashboard and log feature. So this is some data here. So it's gonna populate once this agent starts to populate. You could have a time frame, but it's gonna tell you the number of calls, those actions that were triggered. That is those custom actions where we're grabbing the email and making appointments. And then when you click on it, it's gonna tell you what actions they were. Okay, look, send SMS, workflow, all of that will be down here. And then this is important too. So if you're selling these agents to clients and you have starting to see not 100%, you're starting to see that drop, that is an indicator that you may have something going on. So you could quickly look at this dashboard and say, oh, that's not good. And then back to this one, you got human transfers. If I'm starting to see increase in human transfers, well, maybe I have to correct something in my prompt. Maybe they don't like to talk to the agent. I'll listen to the phone, to the recordings to say, oh, they don't, something's a glitch here and I have to fix it. They're transferring to humans way too much. So those are some indications of using this dashboard. Okay. So that's that. The other thing is, let me see. Let me go to an agent, maybe where there's some calls on it. Let me see something. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 second. I want to show you something else. It's kind of important. So give me 1 minute. Let me see if I have something on this demo. Okay. So this is from the widget, okay? But so this is a landing page that I have a button on it and they can talk to this agent. So basically, these are 2 demo calls. You're going to start to see these populated in this dashboard. So you have triggered the positive and the calls, like I said. So I can see here what happened. They updated a contact field, etc. So you can see real data. But now I have the calls here. But I said, oh, there was a problem on this call, and I have to talk to HighLevel on it because I said this is really screwy, and I'm going to put a support ticket in. So when you're putting a support ticket in, there's a couple of things that you want. You're going to come up here and you're going to grab your relationship ID number. That's how they identify who you are. But also, we want to identify who the call is, the actual call itself. So if you click on these 3 dots here, you're going to get the call ID. The call ID is that specific call that you had a problem on. So you're going to use that in your support ticket if you have an issue with HighLevel. Okay. And then you could get a summary of the call. You can get a transcript of the call, and you can listen to the call recording if you have that active. You have to toggle that on in your phone settings. All right. Keep in mind, if you're going to be doing transcripts, call recordings, things like that, HighLevel will charge you after a certain period. So you want to go in there and make sure that those are limited. So you're not taking storage on old calls from 10 years ago. So just keep that in mind. So call recording, transcript, summary of the call, and this call copy ID is important. All right. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing here you're going to break in your agency. Nick brings up a good point. He's like, hey, listen, don't get intimidated by this. This is simple stuff. It's just going to take a little bit of practice. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to enjoy yourself. You're not going to break anything in your agency. You could delete these agents. It's not going to have an effect on anything in your agency. If you're nervous about somebody calling it, well, you don't have to publish it. I mean, it could stay private. Don't give the number out, and that you can mess around with it and put a test agent in play and play around with it. So don't be afraid to deploy this. Now, I want to show you something that I'm going to share with everyone. I haven't shared it yet because I just finished this up, and I will share it with you now. So I built this yesterday, and basically this is a high-level prompt generator that I've been working on. So essentially, what you could do here is I could put first of all, it's going to be my name is going to go in here, and my email. I'll just put a basic email because it's required. And I'm going to, oh, geez. So I'm going to put a number there, and then I'm going to put that right here. Okay. So that's just my information. It has nothing to do with the prompts. So the next thing it's going to do is now I'm going to put in a business that I'm working on. I'm going to deploy this voice agent for a business. I'm going to put my yacht company in here. And there it is right there. Okay. So it automatically, it's using Google API. It's grabbing the name of the business, the phone number, the website, and the address. Okay. Then I'm going to hit continue. And then what it does is it goes behind the scenes and it grabs a bunch of information off the website and it writes this data. So it has a description, the services that we provide, the target audience, the selling points, and the brand tone. Okay. So then what's going to happen is it's going to hit continue. And what I've built in here is I built 4 prompts. These are all the prompts that you need in HighLevel to do most things that we're talking about here. But there's other prompts because you could build websites and you could build funnel pages, things like that. But what we're talking about here, I could build reputation management prompt because you have to prompt that agent. It's very basic. I want to do a voice agent prompt. I want to do an outbound prompt because I can do outbound now in HighLevel, and I want to do conversational AI. Okay. So I'm going to pick all 4 of those, and then I'm going to say generate. Okay, well, there's my reputation management prompt. So if I have a 5-star agent that's going to answer only 5-star, you're just going to copy this and paste it in HighLevel. It's good to go. If you're going to do, if this one is a 3 or 4-star, I'm using a different agent for that because it's a little bit different. It's casual and upbeat. This one is professional, authoritative. It's fine. And then you copy and paste it. These are very brief prompts, but it's already done for you. And then this is one where it's not so good. It's 1 or 2 stars, and I can copy and paste this right into HighLevel, and you're good to go. So that's that. Then we go into agent initial message. Remember, I told you guys it was super important, right? Well, here's 5 to choose from. So remember, I told you, like, hey, we want 3 things. I built that for you. And then you could just take whichever one you like, or maybe a combination of those, and you could just copy that and paste it in the agent initial message for you. Okay. So then let's get into what you're all been waiting for, which is this voice prompt. So now it builds the entire voice prompt for you and builds it exactly to that customer. So the only thing that it doesn't have is product name and service area because it's not found anywhere on the website. So you might have to go in there. On purpose, when we build websites, I don't put a company email forward facing because that's just asking for spam. So we don't do that. And I don't put a contact. Everything's through a contact form. So you'll see a lot of those come up blank. Owner name is not really on the website because everyone wants to call and talk to the owner. So you could leave that blank. So that's something to think about. But this brings up everything ready to go. It builds 10 frequently asked questions specifically for that business and answers. And then everything you need for that prompt. And it's pretty much 99% ready to go. Objections and pretty much everything ready to go. So that's that. Then I say, listen, I want to do outbound. Well, there's a lot of reasons for outbound. I may enhance this a little further, but this gives you a decent outbound prompt because an outbound prompt is totally different because you're actually calling people. So it's not like somebody's going to have an initial message. You are the initial message. So you have to have all that ready to go, and it builds that for you. And then lastly, I said, listen, we've got to build conversational AI prompt. If you notice in HighLevel, it's broken down into a few sections. This one is broken down into a few sections as well. And it gives you everything you need to know. Okay. And that's without a database. So I'll give you guys access to that. It's going to be published on a new domain today, and then I'll get it to CC to, or JC to get to you.
Oh,
CC to
wow. Look at that. We already have
J,
a prompt ready,
JC.
like a tool that we can literally use to be able to implement AI right away. I mean,
I'll
thank you so
Yeah, I'll get it
much.
to I'll get that to JC Tan today, and this way you guys can have that. Lastly, I put together some resources for you as well. I can answer some questions if you guys have additional questions. Here's the resources that I got available for you. There's around 300 prompts in here that you guys can utilize, get you started. And then there's a bunch of stuff in here as far as like running the audit and stuff like that. So I'll put that in. How do you want to handle that? You want me to put that, JC, in the prompt in
Yeah,
the
I can
um in the
absolutely just
chat?
send it to them via
Okay.
email to everybody who's able to literally register on this webinar and was able to finish the webinar because right now we still have 260 people, Michael. So I just want to make sure that everybody, will get it, like for everybody who attended, this entire
Yeah, I mean, I
session.
could put it in the. It's up to you. I could pop this in the chat if they want. I mean, it's up to you though.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just yeah, let's go ahead and do that because anyway, everybody's here already.
All right, that's that. And then I can answer some questions as well.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, we still have a few minutes. I mean, thank you so much, Michael. I mean, these
You're
are
welcome.
all gold. I mean, who if you guys are here and you didn't learn anything, I don't know what is. I mean, it's just a lot that Michael was able to share with us, including how to set it up literally from scratch and everything that basically he was able to avoid building voice AI specifically for his business. I mean, Michael has helped at least over 100, right? Business owners to set up their
Yeah, about 150
voice
maybe.
AI. So I mean, he's done all of it, like the hard things. So let's see. I'm looking at the like the question and like let me just look at the chat and see if they have any questions here. I hope it's okay, Michael, to entertain some of
Yeah,
the
no,
questions.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Oh wow,
you're the man. So
this chat goes on and on, huh? Jeez.
right, I know, guys. If you
So I don't know.
appreciated
I don't think did I
Michael
put I
tonight,
posted in.
please make sure to post. I think, Michael, don't share the document until they post or tag you on Facebook saying thank you, Michael, or I love you, Michael,
Yeah,
for the
if you
voice
could, that'd be
AI
good.
training. Right.
Check out the YouTube too. I mean, the YouTube's there. I mean, we do a lot of videos too a week on YouTube, so you might want to check that
What's your
out. That's
YouTube channel, Michael? I just want to
I'll
make sure
post
that
it in.
everybody can see it.
Yeah, I'll post that one in there too. You're more than
Can you
welcome
open
to.
it up? There you go.
Yeah, and I'll paste that so you guys can check it. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
There you go. Guys, if you also want to get the copy of whatever Michael has shared during this webinar, I will be dropping a form that you can fill out in the comment section. So you can just go ahead and fill it out. And then later on, we will send you the access to everything that he has shared tonight. So just want to make sure that, we can send it via email as well. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah, we'll
want
send that
that,
via email, and I'll get the I'll give you the prompt generator. So
mhm,
I'll give you the URL for that. It's just
yeah,
I'm just gonna publish it active. You guys saw it first. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever seen it before besides me. So
is it okay if I ask what's your mic? I think they're asking what's your microphone.
oh, this is a Shure
Is that
SB7.
related to
SB7, yeah,
AI?
yeah. No, actually, I get a lot of questions on that. It's weird.
Uh, no, I'm sorry, guys. Is it okay if I
Oh,
ask via by my microphone, like using the mic, if it's okay,
Oh yeah, it's
rather
okay.
than headset? Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm really
oh, okay,
sorry.
got it. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes, you can unmute yourself and then ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael Reimer.
Anytime.
You've been a helpful mentor for me because I've been following you for a long time
Oh,
and
cool.
watching
Thank you.
YouTube video. Yeah. And I have a specific question on um how the data is being saved on the contact field once the voice agent handles the communication. So I was fiddling around with this agent, and I already created a custom field that says reason for call, so
Yeah.
that you get the summary being properly handled on the contact field. But every time the agent receives a call from the same number, it tends to rewrite it. It doesn't like put it properly via, I mean like properly like based on dates and
Yeah,
times.
append it. It doesn't append it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So
right word. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
like,
there's ways to make it append it. You have to set up the field properly so you can put a comma after that and it'll keep adding to that field. But keep in mind if you're doing summaries, that's pretty tricky. Because you're gonna have a lot of conversation in one field. I mean, it's gonna go on and on and on and on. I've done
mm,
it a few times. Not
mm,
really recommended. What I would do, honestly, is there's a lot of ways to do it, but I'll give you one way to do it. So what's very
mm,
powerful now is high level, you have AI in the workflows, right? So maybe uh the you don't like the way the summary is. So you could take that whole transcript and then you could analyze it with a GPT action in the workflow and extract the data however you would like. And then you could save that to wherever you would like as well. You could put it in a worksheet. You could, email it. You could do anything you want with it. Now, that's one way. The other thing is in that workflow, you also have a custom code block. I don't want to get too advanced here, but there's some cases where you may have to format that text message or that message exactly the same every single time. And AI is not going to
mm,
do that very well because sometimes it'll vary. But you want it exactly the same lines, the same characters every time because maybe you're doing a notification, maybe to contractors. So you could do that in a custom code block. But those are your
mm.
options. And then you could put that in a field over and over and over and keep saving your data. But you could save it to a
Yeah.
database easily.
Yeah, cool, cool. The reason why I asked you that is because I want the agent be able to remember the reason why the caller was calling in the first place. So if they call back again, it feels like they're talking to a human. Like, yeah, yeah, you called for this reason and blah 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 blah, something like that. So that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
achieve.
So
Yeah.
there's a double-edged sword with that though. Let me tell you. So the double-edged sword would be is like they called the first time, right? But like
Hmm.
a lot's gone on since that first call, right? So
Hmm.
most people they like to reference the last call because maybe you've done work for them or you've made improvements or things have changed to the positive or negative since that first call. So
Hmm.
generally, a lot of times, most people like to reference only that last call because that would have the most up-to-date information. But, everyone's different.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your time, Michael.
No, no worries, man. Anytime.
There you go. Anyone else? Any questions, guys? Questions, violent reactions, emotional outbursts, maybe. I just posted the link where you can fill out the form so we can automate sending everybody the resources as well as the replay. Again, Michael, I really want to appreciate you while just waiting. I mean, while we're waiting for more questions, guys, again, please do follow Michael as well on Facebook and on YouTube so you can learn from him. I mean, Michael has been sharing so many values on his YouTube channel, on his profile as well. So please do follow him. And you can also follow me on Facebook. It's official .cctan, and our Facebook page is HL Accelerator. Let me see here. There's more questions. Would you rather set the agent to accomplish one specific task, then pass it on to the next? Like, or is it better to pull it out? I mean, to put all scenarios in one agent.
So, Gab, give me a scenario. What are you talking about? Like make an appointment or do customer
Yeah, I think
service.
what he's asking
You
is
could do all
maybe
that.
maybe do we want to set up multiple agents for different purposes, or do we want to just set up one agent that can handle appointment, can handle customer service and support,
Yeah, I
for
mean,
example?
most of them, CC, most of them you can do on one agent because high levels come a long way. Like up to, I think it was level up or maybe right after, they increased that prompt size from 2,000 characters to 4,000. So there's a lot more area there.
Wow.
So you could cover almost everything. So I like to have it all in one place because there is a pause if you're going to transfer, and then that causes friction for the customer. So if that agent can just keep them on the phone and handle business, because maybe it's going to transition from a customer service call then to an appointment, it's just easier. Let the agent just handle it. The only time that I've been doing multiple swaparoo is like maybe you have an agent that is like the general receptionist and then they have different locations because maybe that locations are different, different, addresses, different procedures or different protocols or different services offered, even though it's the same company. That does happen. So we've done
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean,
I think
I would definitely try to keep it as one if possible.
Yeah, and I think this is one of everybody's question because I just saw it in the comment as well. Michael, how do you sell this? I think that's everybody's question. I mean,
Okay.
everybody attended this is interested to know how do you normally position yourself in selling AI agents to business owners out there?
So, like I said, I try to bundle those, and that bundle. I mean, if you look at the assets I shared, it's in there, but basically, it's easier to bundle it, and then it's not a la carte either. So, it's all in one bundle, 4 items all together. It seems to have a good impact because you're building trust. Because the first two things, the database reactivation and reputation management, you're going to drip that out, and they're going to start to see as you're building this out that they're achieving revenue, and they're going to loosen up the phone situation pretty quickly. But as far as to actually get your first clients, there's a few things that I think I would concentrate on. Number one is you're going to have to use your internal network. Whoever your friends and family are, that's number one. There's two ways to utilize that. The first one would be if they own a business or whatever, you could tell them you're just starting out and that you would do this at a deep discount, which means the setup fee would be a lot less, and then maybe their monthly would be a lot less. But you know what? Every on those first four, and that's not forever. That's like maybe your first four clients. I mean, all you're really trying to do is to offset your high level subscription, and also you got to realize something. You're getting paid to learn, so they're paying you to figure it out. So that's a good thing. Number two, from there is reach out to people that are not like your immediate family and then ask them, maybe they're past clients or whatever, rather than try to sell them. Try to use them as a resource because they're going to be more apt to help you. So you're going to be positioning yourself like this. You're going to be like, "Hey, John, it's Mike. I don't know if you know, I started an AI agency, and I'm reaching out to you because I know you're pretty well connected. Can you recommend 10 people maybe that I can talk to that you think this would be a good fit, or five?" And they would be more apt to help you than to actually buy it, because a lot of people obviously get them on the phone and it's like, oh, a sales pitch. But if this person, then we could recommend you five or six people to speak with, then when you call them, say, "Hey, John gave you your number. He thought you might be interested in this." It's going to be a lot smoother. Then lastly, two more tips to sell it would be you could just do you could do if you do 20 outreaches per week, and that could be just by doing some analysis on Google Maps. You could do that pretty easily, and you could analyze like, hey, this person doesn't have a website, they don't have good reviews, they're not answering the phone, and reach out to those. Just say 20 of those. Listen, and you got to prepare yourself. Most people are going to say the word no. So if you're going to get your feelings hurt by someone saying no, you're not in the right job to be selling this, because 80 or 90% are going to say no, but your goal is for two people to say yes out of the 20, or one. And then you do that every week. It's not going to be that difficult to put out, to send them 20 demos or whatever. And then, you're going to start increasing your sales. And once you start increasing your sales, you start getting referrals and you start getting positive reviews. And guess what happens? It's going to start, doing pretty well. And by that time, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to start raising your prices to titrate to effect. And then lastly, I know there's probably people on this call that do it, but they use BNI. BNI is a nice little
I like that.
network to get networked in. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people use it, and there's people that are very successful with it. We just did a webinar on it, and I didn't really know much about it. I've never used it, but I see a lot of people having success with it. So that might be something to look at.
Oh, I really love that. I mean, that's a 10 minutes, literally client getting strategy coming from Michael straight away. I mean, there's really no shortcut. I mean, how I did it for my business is the same way, like what Michael is actually telling us right now, right? Reach out with your family members, maybe reach out to a business owner that is near you, maybe your dentist, you can like literally talk about, hey, I'm actually trying to work on something. I just want to see if this is going to work out for you because I'm new to this and I'm trying it out. So being able to offer that to people that are close to you is definitely the best way to get started, get some reviews, and then eventually you can start reaching out to people that can help recommend you. And guys, it also helps paying them some referral fees. Like, hey, if you ended up referring like 10 people, I'm happy to pay you 10% of how much I close. And there's no shortcut, right? Just like what Michael mentioned, there's no other way that this is going to work unless you do it every day or every week. I mean, yes, a lot of people are going to say no to it, meaning 80, 90%. But if you're not doing it, meaning if you only reach out to one person this week, then obviously that person is going to say no, then you no longer have chances. So the
Right.
goal is reach out to as many people as you can. Mhm.
For sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, that's really good advice. Don't be scared if they say no. And you know what? The biggest thing that I see why people fail in doing this is purely they don't launch their offer. And their offer doesn't, it's not
True.
permanent. It could be modified. People look for tools, and to me, I've analyzed this, and it's a grasp for procrastination. So if you're looking for this voice agent platform and this one, there's one right in front of you that's included. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Use that to get started, then get a bunch of clients under your belt, and then you can start looking at other tools. But at the end of the day, don't worry about how you're going to fulfill it. Don't worry about how you're going to deliver it. Just launch the thing and get the sales, and then figure that out later. Reach out to me. We'll help you fulfill it, whatever. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, your offer is not permanent. Launch it and be successful. That's really the summary.
I love that. Just reach out to people, guys, and message Michael, and he's gonna help you. Or maybe post it in GHL4Beginners, our group. We have a community for anybody who's looking to learn high level, looking to learn AI. It's called GHL4Beginners on Facebook. So just do join the group so you can get more of these. Because we normally would invite at least two, three people globally that can actually teach us something, specifically AI and automations. And yeah, thank you, Michael. I mean, that's a
No,
really
you're
great
very
tip.
welcome. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah, like I said, the offer is not permanent. That's number one. And don't be afraid. That's fine. High level is coming a long way too. They're doubling down on this AI stuff, and you're going to see a lot of new stuff coming. So be
Yeah,
ready.
and I just want to do a little I mean this is like a little commercial. Of course, we don't want to force anybody to buy anything, but if you're somebody who is learning Go High Level, like I said, one of the things that you can do if you want to learn it for free is to join our Facebook community, that's JHL for Beginners. But if you wanted to have a structure, a system on how you can learn high level, we are offering a JHL for Beginners course. We do have 16 total modules in here that talk about how you can set up JHL from the ground up. So if you're somebody who's new, who wanted to learn high level, this is literally $90 or less, or 4,997. This is a launch price that we have currently. After February 16, this is gonna go back to 5,997. So we're giving away 1,000 peso discount for those who will be availing the JHL for Beginners course. Like I said, we are not just talking about JHL, the sub account setup here. We're also talking about SaaS mode. So if you're looking to grow your SaaS agency later on, we will have that as part of our module. How to get clients for Go High Level, because as Michael mentioned earlier, high level is like literally growing. If you don't jump to high level, you're most likely missing out a lot of opportunities, because right now there are about 2 million businesses or more using Go High Level on their businesses. So I think it's good not just to learn AI, but to also understand the foundation of Go High Level. So if you are interested, you can check it out and learn Go High Level, from the ground up. So I'll be putting the link in the comment section if you have questions. And again, if you don't have a budget yet, that's okay. Just attend our or join our community. It's free to join our community. And we do have workshops like this almost every other week. So, and it's free. So just share the group. Post Michael. Please do post Michael later on just to thank him for doing this, because we want to make sure we can see Michael's name all over social media tonight. I mean, he's done so much for us tonight. So
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. If you ever need anything, reach out.
thank you so much, Michael. Thank you,
All right, guys.
everybody.
Thank
Yep.
you. All
Thank
right.
you so much, guys. Have a good day. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I will stop recording